Good day, everybody. My name is Ms. Mabue. I welcome you to today's grade 10 business studies lessons. And for today, we'll be focusing on the application questions under the topic creative thinking. Right, so we will start with our first question, which says, elaborate on the meaning of creative thinking. So number one, when they say elaborate, so we want you to expand on your definitions. So just giving us a few sentences or just a few words, it's not enough, but you have to elaborate on the meaning of creative thinking. So what is creative thinking? So this is a question that you have to answer or think about before answering. Remember, the keyword is to elaborate. So we're not expecting only 1 point from you. Yes. All right, let's start. It says here, creative thinking is the ability to think original. Remember, thinking original, not only original, varied, things that is different, basically different, and innovative ideas. Innovatively, things that have never been thought of before. Thinking out of the box, thinking out of the imaginary, basically. Number 2, or bullet number 2, it focuses on exploring ideas. Yes, you know there's an idea, but now what are you doing? You are exploring on that idea, generating possibilities. Sometimes they can say this is impossible, so that's where you prove them wrong, to say I need to generate possibilities, looking for many possible solutions, because you believe that as a business studies or as a business person, you are solving problems basically by coming up with the product that the community actually needs, making the products maybe easily accessible to them. And how do you do that? You need to think creatively. You need to think innovatively. That is the word that you're going to use to say, I'm thinking innovatively. I'm thinking original. Thinking in a way that is unconventional. The opposite of unconventional is conventional. So thinking in a way that is unconventional and yet original. It is the act of producing new ideas. I hope you can see new has been coming up a lot. So these ideas are new and making them to be real, to be believable. Generating new ideas and being open to new ideas. So a creative thinker is a person that has a teachable spirit, basically, to say, I understand that in order for me to reach there, there's so many errors that are going to happen. They say learning through trial and error. So you are not even, you don't even worry when you make mistakes, because you understand that you need to make mistakes in order for you to learn. Do you understand? So that is what a creative thinker does, thinking innovatively. Don't forget that, to think original, to think thinking in a way that is unconventional and original, new ideas, but making them real. So that is the definition of creative thinking. Then we're moving on to question number 2, scenario-based question. It says here, read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. We've got GP Stores, which is GPS. GPS sells toys to both the young babies and old children. The toy sales have been declining. The toy sales have been declining for the past few months. What is to decline? So meaning the income or the profit that they've been getting, it's decreasing for the past few months. Very important that you understand that. So the toy sales or the income from the toys have been declining, or the profit have been declining for the past few months. The management of GPS has requested their employees to come up with new ideas, keyword, new ideas on how this problem could be solved. Workshops were held to train staff about the different creative thinking techniques. Another word for techniques is what? It's methods. So workshops were held to train the staff about different creative techniques, or you can say methods. So the first question says, Quote 2 ways in which GPS uses creative thinking to generate entrepreneurial opportunities. Now, let's speak a bit about the word quote. The minute you see the word quote in a question, you know with quotes, these are quotations. And when there are quotations, meaning you take it as is, you are not changing anything, you are not subtracting, you are not adding anything. So you take it as is. The sentence, you are taking it as is. That's why they say quote. Do not paraphrase, do not add, do not take it. The minute you paraphrase, the minute you subtract some information, then it means the statement is no longer a quotation, and then that makes it to be incorrect. Do you understand? So very important, you need to have that in mind to say when they say quote, you're taking the information from the scenario as is and without taking away anything. The second question says, explain other ways in which businesses can use creative thinking to generate entrepreneurial opportunities. Now, I hope already you've seen ways, you've identified or quoted 2 ways from the scenario in which this company or this store uses what? Creative thinking to generate these entrepreneurial opportunities. Now, let's check. All right. They said quote 2 ways in which GPS uses creative thinking. Let's see if you also quoted the right things. The management of GPS requested their employees to come up with new ideas on how this problem can be solved. All right, let's see if this is indeed a quote. Remember I said a quote taken word for word from the scenario. So let's put this into practice. Right, the management of GPS has requested their employees to come up with new ideas on how this problem could be solved. I hope you can see. So all of this is a quotation. Can you see? It was taken as is. It's a quote. Quote taken word for word from the scenario as is, no changing, nothing, no addition. Right, but remember the question said quote 2 ways. So this is the first way. The second way, workshops were held to train staff about the different creative thinking techniques. So here is the second one. It ends here. This is the second quotation. Do you understand? Can you see how easy it is? The minute you see the word quote, just know the answer comes from the scenario. It does not come anywhere else but from the scenario. Therefore, it means you have to answer it as is according to the scenario. All right, gonna move on to the next question. Right, explain other ways in which businesses can use creative thinking to generate entrepreneurial opportunities. So these are the answers. Successful entrepreneurs use creative thinking to come up with new products or services. Why? Because remember, they're thinking creatively, so they're coming up with new products or services, things that have never been come up with before. They create a new market. Remember, a market, it's basically, when we speak of market, we're speaking about a place where buyers and sellers meet. But here, creating a new market, new customers, basically new clients for their product that never existed before. Why? Because we are selling maybe new products, or new is a new service. So we are creating a new market for our products, and it's a market that has never been existed before, which is good for our sales. Creative thinking can be applied to continuously improve products and to stay ahead of competition. We don't want competitors to be a threat, even though it's a threat, but we want to stay ahead of competition. So that's a way it helps us. By being creative, it helps us. Designing environments that stimulates creative thinking. So these are other ways in which businesses can use creative thinking to generate entrepreneurial opportunities. All right, so now we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we continue with our questions or our application questions. I'll see you just now.